Hi. In this video I want to talk about the relationship or the connection between the Earth-Life system and near-death experience. Okay, Robert Monroe in the last century, let's say, discovered through his out-of-body experiences how the Earth-Life system is built, the structure of it, etc. And from there we're gonna go and try to figure out why near-death experiencers have, let's say, at least two categories of experience. Okay, maybe there's some more we could talk about, but right now I'm going to go into those two categories. Those that have a so-called positive, beautiful experience, where it's usually they met somebody or something, it was in light and it felt good and healing, and they came back to the body and report a positive outcome. And then we have the other group that seems to be smaller, but nevertheless it's there, that comes back and have a report about a so-called negative or a dark experience from going to hell or having places they visit that are dark and full of, let's say, entities that we would only see in science fiction movies. So those two different categories. So how could we explain that? Of course, it's always open to discussion. That's the point here. But let me guide you through here my thinking here. Okay, the Earth-Life system, as I already mentioned in previous videos, is layered. It seems to be a closed system, and the layers are differentiated between frequencies, okay, like an onion. So the physical part where we are here with the physical body doing whatever we do here has a certain frequency, and then as soon as we go into the non-physical part, from our perspective here, everything there is non-physical, goes in layers. So the closest layer to the earth is the lowest vibration, and then with every layer up, the vibration rate goes up. And then if we would basically see the outermost layer, the skin of the onion, from where we as beings or souls or whatever you want to call ourselves can enter and exit, okay, that's where we can enter exit the Earth-Life system. So what Robert Monroe discovered through his work and out-of-body experience, and now in my last over a decade of working in that realm, studied expanded consciousness states, studied hypnosis, have a lot of clients that are open to discover their inner space and outer space. I came to the conclusion or the idea of why near-death experiencers have those two categories. Okay, I'm gonna go there in a minute. All the different religions, or let's say almost all different religions or philosophies in a way, when they talk about heaven, heaven is in the heavenly realms. Interesting is that all those different religions have their own heaven in a way, okay, with their own rules in a way. And Robert Monroe discovered all those heavens. These are the belief system territories, and they are all in different bands of frequency. So basically when you go there, when you pass over and you have a certain belief system, you will end up in that layer where you actually will be in an environment where that belief system that you believed in is created, respectively, is a reality. So it's almost like a world, and probably it is a world. So these are the belief system territories, and they're so if they're okay, they do what they need to do there. And from there, the whole reincarnation recycling process takes place. So when they pass over as an NDE, going to the other side, and things are so-called positive, you often end up having a discussion or a talk or thoughts with something or somebody, and they end up coming back into their body. So what is happening for them, if you look from the Earth-like system, they are passing through the closest layer that is so-called around the Earth, if you want to look at it in space, thinking, spatial thinking. They pass through and go into the belief system territories where it's basically a safe environment. And those that have the bad experience, in a way, that as is reported, they end up in that lowest astral realm, that lowest layer where all those creatures are, and they have all their names, okay? We could go and explain and describe them in many different ways, but let's say it's the lower vibratory entities. Most common used today is demons, gargoyles, jinns, archons, and probably even we would describe them as ETs, if that's reptilians or whatever they are. They operate from this layer. So if somebody that has an NDE and reports the more darker stuff, they end up in this layer and of course experience that layer. And that's what I think is what is described as being hell. From the perspective of the Earth-like system, how Monroe discovered it, it would make sense. So it's still in the system. It's still in the Earth-like system. It's not out there. And I would like you to respond to that idea and share your thoughts about this point of view, because there's a lot of logic to it. And if we could understand that bigger picture of how the Earth-like system works in regard to the reports of the near-death experiencers that have those two main directions, the so-called good one and then the bad experience, we could learn, starting to navigate or prepare ourselves to look at what is needed to be able to go to the upper levels. And I will talk about that in regard to those levels, what is needed, in my opinion, to not end up in hell. Of course, it's not hell, it's described as it. And that's for today. So leave your comments, share your thoughts about this Earth-like system in regard to near-death experience.